what happens if the trip gets canceled?
So if we have to cancel a trip because of COVID or some unforeseen issue at the destination, we will fully refund everybody, obviously, and there will be nothing, no cost to the team members who've decided to join. If you have to cancel a trip, if you do it before 60 days of departure, then you only lose your 10% deposit. Okay. If you have to cancel even less than 60 days because you got COVID or something happened like that, like if COVID related, then we'll work with you on case by case basis. Most likely we will refund you because, hey, you got COVID-19
or like a family member did and you have to stay home.
Well, I mean, you don't want people going if they have COVID.
Yes, that's right.
Because you don't want them giving the rest of your travelers COVID. Right. So you want people to be incentivized to say, no, I'm not going, I have COVID.
By the way, you won't be able to board even because, if they do common pass or something like that, and you have to take the test, you'll turn positive. If you turn positive at the airport or right before the test, then we'll allow you to take the refund back for the trip so that you can transfer to the July trip. That's an option as well. Like if you say, well, you couldn't go in February because of COVID, and so we can maybe put you into the July trip, whichever way you want it. We have 2 trips this year planned, 2021.
Oh, that's great that let people just go to the next one.
Yes.
Yeah, just transfer it over. That's great. That's great. Okay.
What if there's a death in the family?
So that if you have death in the family, that should be covered by your travel insurance. Usually if you buy a trip on a credit card, that is usually covered by that. Like
so check for bereavement insurance.
There's a bereavement insurance or travel insurance. That's why we encourage you to buy that travel insurance, because that covers that type of thing.
If your credit card doesn't provide it for you automatically, some credit cards they'll give you the travel insurance or a type of travel insurance to begin with.
Yeah.
That's what, and some people say this is a bad idea, but when I rent cars, when I travel, I rent cars, I don't get the extra insurance unless I'm doing a tour and have people in the car with me.
Right.
If it's just me out shooting, I don't get the extra insurance because I'm covered by my local insurance and my credit card.
Right.
And of course, the lady at the counter isn't going to tell you that when you're renting the car.
Right.
But you have to check your insurance and check your credit cards. Okay. So I think that's all the questions that we have, or that I have. Do I have any more? Yeah. So do we have any questions or comments that anybody out in the audience wants to ask? So that's Betty, Angel, and Scott. You guys have any questions for us?
I don't. You answered all of mine.
Awesome. Angel?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I've been on a trip with Taha, and for those of you who have not been on one of his trips, I mean, he doesn't do it for profit, but it's still very professionally run. Everything is very well organized. And this is speaking from the experience of, I went on a trip that was the let's figure out where the glitches are trip. And that was my impression. So imagine if it's a trip that he's done 20 times already.
Well, and just to piggyback on that. So Taha does kind of what I do with my trips, where, I arrange it. I try to put it together because I want a bunch of people to get with me and be my friend and go on a trip with me. But the people that I hire to do the work, and the people that Taha hires to do his work, they are professionals, and they are there to make money, and they're there to make those tips. So they're going to make sure that, that Taha's clients, regardless of what we're paying Taha, that Taha's clients are well taken care of, because they want to make sure that Taha keeps going back to them.
Right.
So yeah, you're exactly right, Angel.
And one of us will personally meet you in Arusha and make sure that you get on the little bus, the vehicles that we're going to take. And they're, we're going to make sure that you take you by the hand, get your luggage, get you through customs, get you on the vehicle, and get you to the hotel. So I mean,
Right.
we'll hold your hand from the airport, you know, the whole time.
And we're all going to be in the
But-
same
and-
hotel, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good.
And
That's good.
I mean, that even included, like, I didn't arrive with everybody else,
Mhm.
right? I went early. And so I thought, okay, that means I'm gonna have to find my own way to the airport. Well, they still did my transfer, even though I didn't arrive with the group. They still arranged all of that.
That's awesome.
And so, you know, I
Your name on a
got
board.
behind and didn't do my planning. I normally kind of wing it when I go ahead of and at the last minute I realized I'm exhausted. I've been working too much. I have not made any plans. And Taha said, well, and I called Taha saying, I need to figure out what to do. Can you give me some recommendations? And he said, well, just let me have my guys arrange it for you. And they made up an itinerary that was just for me for the amount of days that I went. And it was great. So
awesome.
I just, my point is that just because he says he kind of implied that he does this as a hobby, not to make money, but you don't feel like you're on a trip with somebody who does it as a hobby. That's
No.
my point.
No.
It's very professionally organized.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He had been to the places that we went to check out our guides previously. I mean, it wasn't like when we met the trip, he already knew our guides, even though this was the first trip.
Right.
So you'll be in good hands if you decide to go on a trip with Taha.
Absolutely. Absolutely makes complete sense. All right. So I'm going to switch to the next slide. And Taha, if you and Debbie could really sell it, let us know, you know, when we hear we're going to be sleeping in tents, that can really lead people to think about, you know, those Coleman tents that we slept in back when we were in junior high and that kind of stuff.
They're tents with marble bathrooms.
Yeah. I've got some pictures here that
Indoor,
are
and
coming
then you
up.
have an outdoor shower. They're probably nicer than my house.
Now an outdoor, see, I asked this question earlier when y'all were describing this outdoor shower to me. It is an outdoor shower, but it's not an open air outdoor shower.
Well, just the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
No
have
shiny.
privacy.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
privacy
there's
is completely
complete
very
privacy.
paramount.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just
Exactly.
it's open. You can see the stars. You can. I mean, I love to go out there after we've come in. You know, after being beaten in the car all day, and just go sit in the shower. Just enjoy it. It's so
Yeah.
nice. And so if there's there's going to be two people in the tent. Well, one can shower inside, one can shower outside.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's really
Exactly.
nice. But no, the toilets, the sinks, everything is hotel quality. I mean, they're very nice. The water is fine for bathing in. I would still use the bottled water that they provide for you to wash your teeth, but you can wash your face and take a shower in the water that they recycle and clean, in the facility.
So Debbie, you just said something that made me remember one of the questions I forgot to ask. So for people that travel alone, or for, whether they're single or they're not bringing a spouse, they have a couple of options as far as how they want to pay for the trip. They can pay the single supplement,
Mhm.
but what if somebody wants to have like a roommate so that they can drop the cost? Is that something you guys can help people arrange?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can put you together with a like-minded colleague, and the rooms are plenty big. They have
They're
separate beds, and so as long as you don't mind sharing a room, and the other person doesn't either, and they are looking to reduce the cost, then it'll be very comfortable.
Okay. And I know you can bring 3 people.
Yes.
Is there a cot situation, or is it?
It's another bed.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? There's 3 beds in the room.
So every tent can accommodate up to 3 beds. So there are 3, full beds, if you will.
Right. With
and
walking
so-
space? I mean, you'll still be able to
Yeah.
walk around?
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
plenty
yeah.
of
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know when we put a third bed in our cruise rooms, because when we bring our son on our trips, and
It's
it can
tight.
be a little tight sometimes, but yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. All right.
Yeah.
So, I put this slide in there because I wanted people to see that these are some of the things that you guys have done in the past, but unfortunately they sell out.
Yeah.
So once they're announced, people have to kind of jump on them and be responsible for their, for their own destiny by getting in there and saying, Taha, Debi, I want to do this. I want to do this. What's my next step? Because they do book up. How many people do you guys, like one time we did one of our cruises and we brought like 35 people and it was a disaster. We all had a great time. It was just really hard to keep up with everybody. So in your events, how many people do you guys bring?
We try to limit it between 10 and 15 people max.
Great.
And
Great.
each vehicle will have a maximum of four guests with one of us riding in the front. So you will be comfortably seated in the 4 seats that are, in the open area, if you will, of the vehicle.
Okay.
I try not to do more than 3 vehicles ever because I just want it to be more personal, very, very nice, small knit group, easy to handle. Like look, it's hard to keep everybody together to begin with, right? So I'd like to keep the trip small and personalized. It's easy to have meals together. It's easy to exchange ideas and get to know each other. And kind of
download from the day and talk about what did you see in your car as opposed to what we saw in our car.
Right.
So we try to keep it very small.
It's really easy to be, for somebody who's like kind of an introvert like I am, it's really easy to be in a group of people that if it's more than 10 or 15 people to get lost. And then you're kind of the lonely guy through the whole trip. But when you're only with 10 people, you're automatically integrated into that group. So you have a good time. You're part of the conversation. You're part of the, the question and answer sessions when people ask about photography stuff. When somebody needs help with their camera or you need help with the camera, you know who you're comfortable talking to. And when it's a small group, they say that one way to really get to know somebody is to travel with them. Yeah. And I really believe that. In fact, you hear about these people that, they move in together before getting married because they want to get to know each other. And I say, no, that's not the way to do it. Really what you need to do is you need to go on a 7-day cruise to get an interior room. That's how you know if you're going to be compatible. Yeah. And it really is, the small trips are really that way, is because you really get to know people and make some really great friends. In fact, a lot of people in this photography group, I would have never known them had it not been for our travel events and been through our photo walks and that kind of stuff. And now they're great friends. I have, I get text messages from people and, it's great. I just say, hey, yeah, I'm doing great. How are you doing? That kind of stuff. And especially during the COVID time, when it first started, being able to get with people and, from these trips and the people that I've met over the years and just say, hey, how are you doing? It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing great. How are you doing? Is there anything I can do? That kind of stuff. It's just amazing to be able to make these kind of relationships. And so we try to push, it's going to be a great photography trip. It's once in a lifetime, but it's really a great social event as well. Yeah. So, all right. So I found some pictures of some of the stuff that we're going to be that we're going to see once we're there. And I thought maybe you guys would want to comment on some of the stuff. I pulled this stuff from your website, so I lifted it straight from your website. Yeah. But if you want to talk about some of the highlights.
Yeah. So, really, as I mentioned, we are going to be catching the migration on the southern part of the elliptical path that the migration takes. So in February, you see these herds of almost 1 to 1.5 million wildebeest that have traveled in that area. We get to see lots of predators, the lions, the big cats. Very, very common to see them eating their hunts for that day. Lots of elephants. One time we saw a herd of almost 100 elephants all together with the matriarchs and the little ones, like the way you're seeing there. So, all the major, we can pretty much assure you that you will see the big 5, which is lion, the leopard, the buffalo, the elephant, and the rhino. Now the rhino is tough. but we will see them in the Ngorongoro crater, which is
How
a
about
very beautiful area.
the giraffes? What about the giraffes?
Giraffes? Oh, you won't. You will probably get tired at the end. You'll probably see
No
them and
way.
say, "Yeah, let's move on."
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
I don't think
like-
I don't think I'd
And
be
the
able to do.
hippos. We see
Yeah.
lots of hippos.
Yeah, lots of hippos, lots of other animals, but I mean the big five you can pretty much count on that you'll see them, and you know we get to see all kinds of birds. If you love to photograph birds, you have a huge variety of birds in that area.
And
You know,
the guides are extremely
good at
knowledgeable
spotting.
about birds.
Yeah.
Well,
and-
that's a good question. Well, I mean, that brings up another thing. How do the guides know where to be at any certain time? Like if I mean, it's such a huge place.
Right.
Well, you know, how do they know where to be and when?
It's a combination of things. One is they know the area very, very well, and you know, animals are behavioral. You know, they follow a pattern, right? So a lot of these guides already know the patterns of these big cats, the territories, so they know that. Second, the cars do talk to each other through radio calls. So you know, if another car spots something somewhere, they do communicate with each other, and
that's
they're able
great.
to find animals that way as well. So you know, not all cars are in the same place, so they're all spread out. So if there's another group that found something over there, they will communicate with each other, and they'll tell them where to go to find these animals. And then they are also used to with the timings and patterns of the animals, like I mentioned. So it's a combination of things, you know, and that's why we pride ourselves in having guides that have been there working in that area for 20 plus years, because they literally, there's no signs or anything, but they know the roads. They know how to get to these places.
And that's why they're worth that $10 a day tip.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Awesome. So here's one of the things that I'm actually looking forward to is this balloon ride. So tell me about this balloon ride.
Yep. So this time we're doing a little bit differently in the sense that we will do the balloon ride a little bit earlier in the trip. Usually we do it at the second last day, but now we will do it on the third day. And the reason we're doing it on the third day is because the balloon company that runs this has finally started a balloon ride on the southern plains where the migration is going to be. So we're, you know, before we were in the central Serengeti area where the balloon company was located, and now this time they're moving it south to go over the migration area as well. So the balloon is included in the price that we quote you. It is optional in the sense that if you don't want to do the balloon ride, we can discount the trip for you. I mean, there are people who are, you know, have anxiety or don't want to go because it is a balloon ride. But if you are, yeah, if you are able to go, we wake up really early in the morning, about an hour and a half before sunrise, and they take us to the launch area. You launch, you see the sunrise while you're riding the balloon over the Serengeti Plains. Very quiet, serene environment. And they rise and fall the balloon at different altitudes, so you get to experience the plains at different altitudes, including the very low altitude right above the tree line, all the way up to like a 1,500, 2,000 feet level, where you can see the plains very far away and you can see the herds. So you get to, and then after the balloon ride, which is about 60 to 90 minutes, depending on the time frame, you land, they pick you up, and you have breakfast in the bush. So we have a full breakfast being served in nice tablecloths, people serving you breakfast. It's a great, great experience to have during that period of time.
So when most people think of a balloon ride, what I see when I think of a balloon ride, I think of like a, you know, like a 5x5 basket with just enough room for two people, and maybe a camera.
These are huge. These are big balloons. They can accommodate about, you know, 10 to 15 people at a time.
16 plus the balloon pilot.
That's crazy. That is amazing.
Yeah, these are very, and you're not squeezed. I mean, you are in a tight spot, but you're not. You are in a basket, but you're in a big basket with
and they turn the balloon around so that sometimes you're in the front and sometimes you're in the back.
Right.
But you can always see over people, and you've always got a good view. Yeah. It's really amazing.
Yeah, sounds like it. Absolutely sounds like it. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to take pictures from in the balloon or take pictures of you guys flying in the balloon. It seems like those are both great photo ops. Maybe
Well,
I'll
you'll get to see both actually, Joe. So, if you're in a balloon, usually there's another balloon like the picture you're seeing on the right there. That's actually taken from a balloon of the other two balloons out there.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense. So
So
there'll
you-
be more than one set of
Yeah.
balloons.
Yeah, there's usually 4 or 5 balloons launching at the same time. And, our group is usually in one, but, there are other groups obviously traveling as well. So they're launching the balloons, and it's one company that operates the balloon company. So there's only one. I don't know if you guys have been to Cappadocia. Any one of you have been to Cappadocia, Turkey? That have a balloon festival or launches for tourists. There are just way too many balloons over there and too many companies. It gets crowded. There's nothing like that this here. It's one company that's authorized to run balloon company in Serengeti, and they control how many balloon launches every day. So it's not like there's hundreds of balloons. It's literally 4 or 5.
Gotcha. So an unrelated question that's not on the screen. If I wanted to bring my drone, I can't bring my drone.
Unfortunately not. Drones are illegal at the national parks and all conservation areas in Tanzania.
Yeah,
Okay.
that drone is something else that you should probably not ever bring around.
And the reason it's for the safety of yourself and for the animals. Drones can land or crash places. Obviously, you don't want somebody to go run around trying to get a drone. And it also is for the safety of yourself as well, and for the animals. And the only way drones are allowed is if you're part of a professional film crew and you have applied for a professional filming permit.
And those are not cheap.
Those are not cheap. There's $10,000 per day.
Yeah.
Permits.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. And see, so for those that are looking at the on the screen at the images on the screen, these are the trucks that you guys are actually using with the pop-up tops.
Yes. And the windows come to the they draw out, and the vehicles are all Toyota Land Cruisers designed for 4x4 travel. They're very rugged. They can handle a lot of stuff. And we do have a spare vehicle just in case if we experience breakdowns. We have the ability to swap out these vehicles within a couple of hours. So, we do have that ability, but, knock on wood, we had one incident where the car did not start, but then we backed it up, and within 10 minutes, the car was back up and running.
Okay.
But otherwise, these cars are highly maintained. They're kept up in very good shape. Because reliability is very important, of course.
And these
Yeah,
are
that
new
makes
this year,
sense.
right?
Yeah, they will be new this year. Yes.
Oh, wow. So another thing about a balloon trip. So you say that it's going to go up, they're going to go off about 15 miles. It's going to drop us, and we're going to eat breakfast. And then what, we walk back?
No, that's a good question too. There is trucks, the same trucks will come and pick us up. Actually, it's the balloon company trucks that will take us back. So they pick us up at the lodges early morning, an hour and a half before sunrise. Similar looking trucks. It's just their company's own transportation transfer system. They take us to the balloon launch area. You launch. Where you land, their trucks pick us up, and then we go to the breakfast area. And from the breakfast area, they take us back to a meeting point where our trucks will come and pick us up and take us back. Or usually, what happens is after breakfast, we get transferred to our vehicles, and then we do a game drive.
Okay. Makes sense. So I think some of these days are going to be mixed around, but I got this from your website, but like you said, the balloon has been moved. So some of these days are going to be a little different, but are there any highlights of these days that you want to point out just real quick?
Just a couple of things. So obviously day one is the Arusha, where we arrive. When you arrive at the airport, we come and pick you up. I'll be there already ahead of time with the trucks, and that you will meet the drivers right there. From the time you come to Arusha, as Debbie mentioned, you're taken care of. Everything is handled. You basically don't have to worry about anything. The other thing that is a little bit new this year is on day two, We will go see a tribal village, which is the tribes that speak with a click, and they are a very primitive tribal area in the Ngorongoro Conservation Area. So we'll get to see them. And then the other thing that's very beautiful about this trip that doesn't get talked about as much, I believe, is Ngorongoro Crater. This is a caldera that's 1.2 miles in diameter. It is 600 to 700 feet down, and you actually drive down into the crater, and the crater is a complete self-sustaining ecosystem where you see all the animals there. And that evening, you are staying at a lodge that's on the rim of the crater. And so you will actually be at your balcony, and you are actually looking into the crater, essentially.
Oh, wow.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful location. High class location. When you have breakfast in the morning, you're in a glass room, and you can actually see the crater while you're eating breakfast. So it's beautiful.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So what I'm looking at is a couple of on the other side of the screen, a couple of pictures of, I think, is this the tent that we're going to be in?
So the top room is the Serena Lodge at the Ngorongoro Crater. You see the balcony with the stones?
Yes, yeah.
That's where you stand, and you're looking into the crater.
And so we're going to see like animals in the crater that we can shoot from our room?
You might, but it's small, right? You're way up there, 600, 700 feet up. But you will be going down there, and if you have binoculars,
That's
by the way,
a great
that's another thing.
landscape shot.
Yeah, no
yes.
kidding.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah, in fact, when you wake up, the sunrise comes right above where your room is, so you get a great landscape shots there too. If you bring binoculars, that's one thing I forgot to mention earlier, is if you have a 10 by 50 binoculars, it's a great thing to have with you, just to spot animals and watch their behavior. The bottom screen you're seeing is a Lake Dutu Safari Lodge. This is a tent. So that's actually a tent, but it's not a tent. It's kind
doesn't
of
look like a tent to me.
The outdoor shower.
That's the outdoor shower right there. You're seeing.
Shower.
Yeah.
And if you look at the next tent, and you see a little silver thing by the outdoor shower,
Yes.
that's the solar water heater. So you have plenty of hot water in which to enjoy your indoor or outdoor shower.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I mean,
So,
look
Taha,
Yeah.
can you talk about the structure of the day?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And what the hours are that you're shooting, and where you're going to be at sunrise and golden hour and sunset and golden hour, and so you get in an idea of what kind of shooting you would be due, because that will, as a landscape photographer primarily, that may change what gear I bring.
Yeah. So we leave on a normal day. We will leave after breakfast, which is after sunrise, but early in the morning. Usually by 7:30, 8 o'clock, we're out on the vehicles, because you want to try to catch the early morning animal behavior.
Okay, and about what time is sunrise?
Sunrise is 6:30, quarter to 7.
Will we have options for those of us that like to shoot sunrises and sunsets? Is that?
Yes, you can. Just within the lodge area, there is areas where you can shoot. Literally, if you go to the balconies of the lodge where the dinner, lunch, and breakfast and dinner and lunch are served, you can see the plains. So if you want to walk out there before sunrise and just sit there and observe, you can do that.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, you said sunrise is around what time again?
6:30, roughly, like 6:15, 6:30,
Okay.
And then 1 or 2 days of the trip, we will actually leave before sunrise and be in the for a game drive, and then we will have breakfast in the bush. Okay, and so
basically like we did in India.
That's
every
right.
day.
That's right. But except on this trip, it's only 1 or 2 days we do that. The rest of the days we have breakfast at the lodge. So usually you have breakfast, and then you go for a game drive. The game drives last right around till 11:30, and then we come back and you have lunch at the lodge, and you relax. Then it's a little bit of free time until about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the evening. And then we go for a second game drive for late afternoon, early evening, all the way up to sunset. And so usually if you want really golden hour pictures, the really nice colors with the animals even, I get the best pictures in the afternoon game drive because, you know, it's the colors are very good. You have golden hours. In the morning, what you get is a lot of animals are, the predators have hunted, and you get a lot of those type of pictures. Okay. So that's the kind of combination you end up getting. And so we do at least 2 game drives a day. If you want to go during a day, an extra game drive for yourself, we can arrange that as well. But usually people get pretty worn out and
I don't think I
ready
could do
to,
more than 2.
yeah, they're ready to
And
take a
then
break.
around what time is sunset? That time of year?
So sunset
6:30.
is also around 6:30 as well. So it's usually about a 12-hour day. It's equatorial, you know, area, so the days and nights are equal.
Okay.
And for those that are watching that, they're like, well, you know, after lunch, why do I want to sit around and wait until 3 o'clock before I do my next thing? Believe
The
me,
lights crap.
when you've been going for this long, even from a photography standpoint, you've been going for this long, you're going to need some downtime. Regardless of what type of trip you're on, otherwise you're going to be burned out by day 3 and you're going to just be completely miserable for the rest of the trip. So having that 2-hour siesta, having a couple hours nap, or just walking around and decompressing with a nice cup of coffee is a really important part of the trip. And it's built in specifically to keep people from getting burned out. Even professional wildlife photographers do the exact same thing. Plus, like
Just the
Angel
lights
said,
crap.
yeah, like Angel said, the light's going to be crap.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're looking for extremely high contrast images, you know, it's going to be high contrast straight down. It's still, even that isn't going to be very, very appealing. So, yeah. And one thing before I go on to the next slide, I thought was really interesting about this photo of the tents is you've got wildlife right there next to the tent.
Yeah.
Is that something that people, I mean, should they be worried about that? And is that a bonus?
It's a bonus to a certain degree, although safety is paramount. So they do ask you to, like during the day, you can walk around yourself, but during the evenings, you have to use their guides to go from the lodge dining room area to your room. You go with a Maasai guide, and they take you there to your room and back again. So if you want to, like, let's say, go from your tent to the lodge dining area, and it's after sunset, you just call a phone. There's a phone in your tent, believe it or not. You call that number, and then they come and pick you up, and then they just guide you back out. It's a short walk. It literally takes 2-3 minutes, but they want you to, you know, use that just in case if there are animals. These tented areas are not walled or fenced. They're part of the national park and conservation area. So animals pass through that whole area.
Looking for dinner.
Yeah, they literally are passing through. I mean, we've heard stories where we had elephants pass through. Sometimes in the evening, in many trips I've taken, like if the migration is right there in that area, you can get a herd of wildebeest that come at night, and you can actually hear their breathing at night.
Oh,
you
wow.
know. So it's a great experience. It's safe. You're never in any kind of major danger because they have guides and rangers everywhere, making sure for the safety, so that just in case if any of these animals behave in any unusual manner, they can take care of it. But as I mentioned, these animals are habituated. They are used to seeing these environments, so there's nothing unusual for them.